going through this move again. Now we know, like we talked about, so let's delete this and let's just take away some of these levels. We don't need this kind of junk in here. We don't even need this or this or this right now. What we need to do is look at this larger time frame. So we know that this is the front side of a leg. This is going to need time to hold. This is not going to be something that just sits here and bounces and rips off. Like, yeah, okay, like we talked about before, we're going to have a reaction. Of course, we're going to have a reaction. It's a hold level, right? We're going to have, an instant reaction. So fine, we have a 9% reaction, we fall right back down, and then we have, another 7 or 8% reaction, and we fall down. And we're going to need to hold this level over time. This is not the level that it's just like, oh, we're going to rip right off and go up 20%, right? Even if you were to look at this moment up here at 10,500, it's the same thing, right? We're no longer holding the backsides of legs here. If we were holding the backside of a leg, it would be right here. And even this is tested, but it would be right here. But it's not, because it's already tested. You see, it's actually, let's use a proper level here. Come on, we do this right here. Sure, it's level hit. It's not going to have a major reaction because first off, it's already been tested, okay? The leg of this move was right here. It was already set to break. The problem is the weekly never got hit. You see? So whatever greedy level is in here, whatever greedy inverse level is in here is what held that move down. So it's almost like the same thing, the greediest level. In our case, there was an origin that was at 10,000. I think it was right here on the 12-hour charts. I think it was right here is what it hit. That was where I had my short. Yep. And it hit this level, and it's, the point before the weekly, like if you go here, right, like this, and you mark this weekly leg, where are the greediest points in this chart? So you can even inverse this and say, well, go inside of here. If this is the weekly part of the move, you've got something inside this candle. I don't know if we can go back all the way to the hourly charts. It might be too far in time now, but we can try. This is the weekly. Where's the greediest level? The greediest levels are right here, which also is a origin. Come on, right here. So there's an origin. I know it's on the 12-hour. Might be this one right here. Might be that one right here. So you've got the greediest point versus the leg of the move, right? So when we come here, you just don't hit the leg of the move. And no matter how far off that trend is, it's still not hitting the break of the leg, right? So it's kind of the same thing we're in right now. Like, we're going to need time to hold this. This is the front side of a leg. We're going to have a bit of reaction, but we need time to hold it because, again, these are data points. So we really have to start to look at these hold and break levels. Like, again, last week, all we did is we talked about, and we're going to walk through Bitcoin and what it's doing right now, actually, to do like a live example. So we talked about, okay, data points, and you've got this here, and this means the level is going to hold. It's the origin level, right? It's going to hold and bounce because it's the backside of a leg, right? Just like if you flip the charts, this was the backside of a leg here. And this is a trick that I always do to help me sometimes clarify when I'm not quite sure what's happening. I always flip my charts and start looking through backside and front sides of legs. So last week, we went through very easy, simple examples. Now we drill down and extrapolate how we can make sense of this stuff in the moment. Because, yeah, you could go and theoretically make taking 1 or 2 trades a week and doing the right leverage. But I want to teach you guys how to take these trades every single day. So we're expanding upon what we learned last week in this way. We are expanding upon it in the way that I taught you guys the very easy stuff, almost like you're a Spanish boxer who's a champion. You come to America, again, you just have to, you don't know the rules, so you just have to make $500 where you can until you learn the system, right? Same idea, right? We have the exact same kind of ideology here. So we're going to start by marking our trends here. So we're going to, and we're going to do trends next week in the groups. So don't worry too much about, I don't understand exactly what's happening with trends. We're going to do this next week. That's perfectly fine. And so we're going to work through these data points here. This one is a bit sharp, but actually that works because it's right there. That actually works perfectly fine. So now we have kind of these points of data. We have trends on trends on trends that need to break, right? Like we have all these trends, and even right here, you would have had something like this. Even this would have had a moment where it needs to break, right? Let's see if we can get this a little clearer. Actually, it would be this candle right here to this candle right here, right? Accumulation to accumulation. So we got a 5-minute accumulation to accumulation, right? Hit your level, break your trend, fall against the inverse. Okay, so let's start talking about what this looks like. This looks like we're still moving down. We're not even attacking the valleys. We have a trend here that was broken. It's fine. So you create another trend right here. You see, you're just basically adapting this trend out. Like we can even start to create a micro cycle, a micro accumulation cycle, right? So this would be the 1, the 2. It doesn't even hit an origin level. So it doesn't even have an origin level to create. So you're not even in the clear yet. And this is why you need that front side of a leg to hold over time, because you need to go after these bigger levels. Like you're still just inversing this move. And I don't blame people, because this is, 8% or close to 9% in what, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, and you've got 9%. Like that's ridiculous. That's 900% on 100x, and the level was perfect. So it's like, man, look at the money in this thing. Of course you're going to take 900% 30 minutes later. You'd be psycho not to. Who's holding out for another 1 or 2% just because? Like, what, 11% versus 9% 30 minutes? You got to be crazy, right? So it's like, of course this is still inversing. And then you have this piece of the move here, and maybe we drill down in time frames to find the next point. And you have this right here, which is the next inverse of the move, or this, or wherever that valley is here. I'm sure there's a valley in here somewhere. Yeah, right here. So here's the valley that's protecting the move. And so you're still inversing the valley, right? So you can see we're still in distribution, because the data points are telling us, hey, okay, we are distributing. So what are the data points on the other side telling us? So let's kind of just go right here and start to take a look. Okay, so let's pretend we're in this move. This breaks, and fine, you have the next accumulation cycle, which is going to be something like this right here. It's trying to break, or possibly you can even start to use one of the further ones out. You can start to use something like, maybe there's a 3-minute accumulation to accumulation, here to there, the accumulation to accumulation. You can use this as the first break point. We're not even confirmed yet. We're not out of the woods yet, right? Like we're still trying to just create our first origin level, which I suppose will be this mark right here. Let's make sure, let's go through our time frames and see where the actual valley is. Okay, so you got the 5-minute there. Where's the 15-minute? Right there, perfect. That's nice. There's no hourly. Okay, so we know where our origin exists. So now we can create points of data with expectations. Okay, we know we need to get to this level. So everything below this won't count. We're still in distribution. Okay, so we can walk through this now, and we can start to look at this and say, okay, how are we going to get there? We're going to start breaking cycles to get there. So how would we get there from here? We would hold this level. It's the greediest level. It creates a ladder. Great. This is perfect. We create a ladder from here to here. This is going to create our trend. So we're starting the accumulation cycle once again. We've got this to this. This is looking okay. It's a good start. And then if this is going to continue laddering, it can't break below trend, and it needs to go to kind of the next greediest point, which would be right here. I guess it could possibly be right here too. One of these two. I'm sure there's maybe a 3-minute hold level here. Should be this. So it's inside of this candle right here. So what's the greediest level inside of this candle is right here. So kind of needs to hold this level. Oh, nice. It's holding the level. So we know that this is also inversed right here. So the move is continuously inversing. We're trying to create an uptrend. So we're kind of in this moment right now where if you want to get into a long, it's kind of silly because it doesn't really make sense. You're still falling back against the move. And we really need to hold this move again. We really don't want to keep falling down. Again, okay, so here's like a moment that just sucks, because it's like, okay, trend is broken. We haven't created an accumulation cycle. The only good thing is here, now here's something very interesting. We attempted to create an origin level here. We weren't able to, so we haven't attempted that yet. So we actually haven't broken the relevant trend, which is this. So we actually can start right here. And if we break this trend and attack this level, we can maybe, this level right here, we can maybe create that origin level. But you see, it's the data points that are telling you this story, because the data points are telling you what's happening next, right? This will confirm a ladder. If that is true, it will create a trend. If it creates a trend and that's true, it will attempt to create an origin level, to create an accumulation cycle. So all things true, if this inverses and holds the move down, we know that it can't, it's the early signs of failure. Okay, all of a sudden, this doesn't hold, it breaks trend, this is all gone. It's basically all gone, right? Data points are telling you that the whole thing is now kind of kaput. So we can, the only good thing here is we actually didn't create the origin level like we did in the past, right? That's the only kind of saving grace. So now we can try to create our new trend. So we can create, our base here and see if it can hold this level here to create our first trend, hopefully break us out of this silly little thing we got here. And it actually does. So that's good. Let's see where the swings happen to. Hits this inverse again, breaks over it. Good. Hits that next inverse. Okay, are we able to have a pullback and hold the level? So now what we'd be looking at is we'd be going into the higher time frame that we say, okay, we've got a pullback about to happen. Let's see. We have the backside of a leg here, and we have the front side of a leg here. Maybe we can break this down into time frames to find it. Yeah, right here. That's kind of already been tested, but I guess it would still create, even if it came down to this point out here, it would still create our trend. So we got the backside and we got the front side. We also have a potential for it to bounce here, but it's not important which level it bounces off of yet. What's important is the data that it's creating for us. So for example, again, data points, right? Backside of the leg should have a relatively decent bounce, right? Front side of the leg here, which is, I would consider this the front side of the leg. It's not inside this hemisphere of it. It's going to go here, which is going to create our trend. This is also a good thing in order to try to attempt to hit this level, even if it comes down here to this point where we have it crossing and okay, fine, it goes here. It's still creating our trend, right? So you're trying to create a cycle, and where that's being fueled is it's being fueled from the break of this move. It's trying to create the 3, which is going to try to create the origin level here, which is attempting the very early signs of an accumulation cycle. So again, data points, right? They're magic, right? So fine, we try to hold this backside level. There's no bounce. If there's no bounce, there's, this thing will probably just fail right back down. So fine, you have another inverse here now. Hunky-dory, and this one is gone, so we don't need that one. We're already above that. We're already testing this to try to see if we can go after this valley right here. Yeah, we get stopped at our inverse. Okay, let's see if it continues to stop us. Moves up. Still falling short of that other inverse, right? Now we've got that second test of this inverse. So this is gone. We've tested this inverse once again, and now we are trying to hold this backside of the leg, right? Okay, now we're at the backside of the leg here. Okay, let's see what happens our first part of this move. What's going to happen? This will inverse us, right? If this doesn't inverse us, guess what's going to inverse us? This one right here. If these fail, right, these are telling you failure. That's what the data points represent. They represent failure in the move at the moment, right? So it's pulling back. We don't have trend yet. We possibly do have trend right here. So we actually do have our trend right here. We do have trend right here. You actually lost trend. So you are going to pull back. So you can see where, in this moment here, we can kind of just get rid of this. You can see where this is trying to use the creation of trend to cycle the move up against the backside of the leg. And once you lose it, these are only 1 minute candles, so take it with a grain of salt that, you still haven't hard closed on a higher time frame. Once you hard close on a higher time frame, which is looking like that candle right there, you have your pullback, right? Because you haven't hard closed yet. So, 1 minute time frames with a grain of salt, and then we go after the front side of the leg, almost like magic, right? So now we've actually created this now. So, okay, fine. We have our first point, and we are, I wouldn't call this a cycle yet, because we haven't hit an origin level. So I would just simply take this and adapt it to here, to this point here. So we are still falling against this trend, trying to create our first origin point, and we're still falling back. So this didn't hold, and you can see why. Backside of the leg should have a good bounce. The inverse holds it back, so we can delete this. Here's the front side of our leg, and possibly we're going to go after an even greedier level. Oh, so we actually just broke trend. Nice. So we did actually create trend off of this. So now what we are trying to do is we're going to use this, and we are going to try to actually create an origin level, which again, back in that same cycle of trying to, okay, we've just created an origin level. This is good. We've created the 1, 2, 3. Here's the next point, the 4. So then the next is going to go like this. It's going to come, and it's going to hit this level, and then it's going to pull back. And what we're going to do is we're going to, that's the creation of the 3, which is origin has been created. And this will be the break of the 4. And it will hopefully use this trend to break this. And that will be the 4. And then it will create like a 5. And then hopefully that will be the 5 right there. And then it'll create the 6. And then maybe this breaks over and confirms. And then we move up. Maybe, okay, this is very short time frame. I don't know how, I don't know. Maybe we end up just inversing right back to here. Maybe this is just a move to right here. But anyways, the data points will show you what's happening in the move. And just like magic right now, we should technically be moving up, right? Because we are starting to create an accumulation cycle. Well, look what's happened when you broke this trend, right? Because now you're trying to create an accumulation cycle. So now you're actually moving up. So you can see now how reading these data points, like this is the exact same thing we did last week. We just did it on the very easiest levels, because now we're talking about 3 and 5 minute candles and needing to see bigger pieces of information. Like we've already been doing cycles. We've already been looking at this. The only difference is, hey, guess where your cycle is? It's right here. Guess where your bigger cycle is? It's right here. So we were already doing this stuff, talking about trends and these backside hold levels and things like that. But now we've got to step it up and get into the professional league where we're no longer just, yeah, okay, fine. You can have a career just trading these easy levels and you're going to have bounces. And now it makes sense as to why you do. Like you have bounces off holds that are 1 and 3 minutes. Why wouldn't you have a bounce off a hold level that's an origin 12-hour level or an origin 4-hour level that's untested? It would be almost unrealistic to not expect a bounce at that point, right? So you have these bigger levels and they are going to have those reaction points like this because of that reason. But again, it's all data, man. It's all just what is being extrapolated to us and communicated on the charts, almost as if we can read minds. This data will tell us exactly what's happening. So this is what I call data points, because these points of data will always tell you the next step. And like I told you last week, we can always see one step ahead in the future. We just can't see two. So we can always see what's going to happen next. Like if we break this trend, we know we're going to either go to this inverse and completely pull back, or we are going to go to here. So we know once we break this, we have a minimum requiem of this. So we know this is true, and it is. It's exactly 1-to-1. Is what is supposed to happen as to what we know is exactly what's supposed to happen. We just can't see what's going to happen here, which is 2 steps in the future. We just don't know if it's going here, or we don't know if it's going back to trend here, 2 steps in the future. But we can use our data points to give us the exact story to show us where the moves are happening so that we can be prepared to take the appropriate moves, right? So this is nice to see Bitcoin moving up here. Hopefully it's not just going to stop at, whatever other little inverses here. Let me check. Yeah, hopefully it just doesn't stop right here or something silly. And it's just like really greedy entry, but I could, not, start clapping my hands yet because there's still like, I wouldn't be entering this trade now. I would have been entering it on trend break over here or on the hold level here. So you can see why I would have been entering back here. Front side of the leg, it's going to try to hold through the trend, right? Same thing it always does. Back side of the leg holds through trend. Now it's moving up. Front side of the leg is going to give you that. The back side of the leg is going to give you an instant bounce almost to the inverse, right? So different with respect to timeframes. A 1-minute chart is only going to have enough juice to give it a 1-minute reaction. If you're hitting an origin 12-hour level from 5 months ago, well, of course you're going to have a larger reaction. If you're hitting, the backside of a 1-minute candle that was created an hour and a half ago, well, the reaction is going to be appropriate, right? So this is, again, data points and exactly what it's doing. So it actually looks like it's going to create the origin level here. Let's see. This is really nice to see live in the moment. And you can see why it happens though, which is beautiful. Because if it doesn't, you know what this is? Ladder to ladder to ladder to ladder to break, right? So yeah, not cool. Bitcoin, we want to see you create a cycle for the lesson right now. That would be the perfect moment. But this move isn't over. It's been 1 minute. Let's not, get too panicked or worried that Bitcoin is not breaking its move yet. But data points are the ability to read, just to kind of wrap this up and to kind of put a bow tie on it nicely so that we have an exact, like this is what we talk about. And when I say data points, you know what I mean. Data points will tell you what's happening next. They will give you your story. It's just up to you to kind of start to fill in these pieces like, oh, this is creating a cycle. So what is this data point telling us? What is, just like when we break trend, what is trend telling us? There's data that's communicating to us. So what is that communicating? Even right now, you know what the data is communicating to us? Backside of the leg here, which is also the hold level. So actually that's fine. This will try to be a target for the bounce. This will try to be a target to go after this level up here. To this level up here. So if there is a pullback here, to this level, you could actually see it all the way down to here or even trend. If it's here, it's fine. The data point means that it's still holding the move and it's laddering up. To here means it's bouncing off the backside of a leg and should have a relatively quick move. To trend means that it's using trend to create a breakout moment in the future. But you see, they all have data that they communicating with us. It's up to us to understand what that data communication means.